Hello, Regis students. Thank you for being here. So this is video 2 on databases. And so what does it look like? Well, we're talking about a basic table. All right. So we're going to have fields, name, course, grade, and then each row is unique. So it's sometimes in statistics it's called a case. And so the data gets added to each record. There could be missing data that then would get inserted. And the point is that if we ever need to do anything with Alice, okay, we can go find Alice and do work on Alice and not have duplicate data in the database. So that is where the lesson is trying to get you to. So in terms of history, pretty substantial history, but for us, we're going back to about 1986. So I'm not going to keep going way back for you. But what I want you to understand from this is with the joining, with it says Boolean data types, Windows functions, cursors, this is a very stable environment. And it can be really relied upon dependently. Relied upon in a very good way. And this is whether you're going to have the database on your own computer, or whether you're going to use an SQLite version, which is kind of like a cloud-based, or you get into production systems. I can tell you that, I try to do as many things in SQLite as I can. The time that I spent having to build Mongo databases and having all this hardware on my machine, it caused all kinds of problems over time. So you have to really factor that into your design, and that's part of the reason why now people go and they build all this type of stuff in the cloud. Whether you want to use Google's OneCloud or Microsoft's Azure. So in terms of the main language, what I want you to get used to is it's very plain names. Create, alter, insert, update, delete. So, and as you get to know, commit, I'm going to do a transaction. So if I have my metadata, my data, security, transactions, these are the very basic names, and I've tried to build you a few tables of these so you have them for essentials. Because they're good to print if you're going to be having to do some heavy building, and but what this overview is for. So here's my database keywords for you. All right, is with this little table right here, you can go do most of what you would need to do to go and manage all of your college data. Okay, not a problem. And so I just want you to know that, again, I'm trying to really cherry pick and build a high quality course for you, so that you can, if you want to go get an 800-page book, you can. But this is the essence of how you can get started and you can get busy, you can get working. So, and then of course we have our learning synthesis table, which I hope that you've been enjoying. But getting down to the visualizations, okay. What I want you to think of is typically when you're doing the building, typically it gets broken up into a conceptual and logical stage. Now the conceptual is when you are building the framework. So you're saying, I gotta understand my employees and they're gonna have skills. But then I'm going to translate this conceptual, so it's kind of like this gets translated into a coded environment, which they call the logical sphere. Okay, so this is what they call, if you're going to go meet with a manager, this is what it's called. You're going to take your conceptual diagram that you've went and built, employees, they possess, skill names, and then down here, due to normalization features, you see, okay, I have my employees, I got last name, first name, salary, and then I see I have a job skill table, and then I have my employee job skill table. Well, you can be arguing, well, why didn't I put my job skills over here in my employee tables? This gets into the deeper constructs called normalization. The class here isn't to teach you explicitly about it, but I put a nice section in for you that really provides the detail of drilling this down, and essentially it's because the employee, the job skill ID, it is an additional thing that the employee can do. So you have your personhood, you have your financial characteristics, right? But then you have your job characteristics. And you might want to keep a job skill ID table because then the employees could develop different job skills over time. So that's one of the reasons why normalization has moved it over, so the information doesn't get overly redundant in this table. So the typical process of building a database is then from the conceptual design to the logical, what you just saw, the logic model, which is going to have all the business rules, all the data. I mean, I used to have to build database models that was a process engineer, and then they would be sent to a department where they would go code the database. That's called the physical coding of the DBMS, or the database management system. And that's what the scary, look of what was that movie? Matrix. Okay. So we're about 5 minutes, but I'll take you through the normalization right here. And essentially, there are these normal form rules. Okay, you can go read about 20 detailed pages on these normal form rules. All right, but I'm trying to have it be like, for you, don't organize a messy room. All right, you're going to organize a messy room. So you're going to just put all your socks, books, and pants into one big box, or you're going to make specific containers for them to go into. Okay, that is where you're trying to get to this single source of truth, where normalization ensures that each piece of data, like a book or a title, it lives in one home area. And so it's not going to end up with a situation where down the road, as you're merging systems, you end up with conflicts because you got different data that's representing the same person in two different systems, and then there's a conflict. So that's why this stuff gets done with these rules. And the two drivers for it is that you don't want redundancy of your data. You want one single source. You don't want to have to go update in 500 rows. You just want to update in one place. And you don't want an anomaly to occur, so that means you delete something and then it gets rid of other information you didn't want. Or you add data, but then now data is missing. So I'm going to add a person, Fred, but I don't have Fred's last name. So that's why. So I have some nice pictures in here for you to go chew on. Okay, that takes you through. It's called the normal form, going from 0 to 3. I put this in. It's all pretty self-explanatory. Okay, but what I want you to get at when you get down to, a lot of people just typically work in this third normal form, and that's where you have what they use as a term, transitive dependencies, that there's only one primary key, and the items that are dependent upon one another are by those primary keys, and then you don't have redundancies. So you have loaned items as the book or movie, but then what format is in. So people, like, a common mistake would be, put these together, but really, by separating them, you're making sure that the dependency is distinct. So then when you pull from one table to the other, you're always getting good, clean data. So I hope this video has been helpful, and I know it's been a little longer on the 8 minutes. I'm trying not to go over too far, but thank you so much.